Hey, what's up, y'all? Sorry about that. I had a few things going on here, trying to get situated. Had to redo my account, my Google account, all types of shit. What's up, Michelle? What's up? Who is that? Drawing Gamer 93. What's up? All right, so I hope everybody's doing okay. Hope your week is going well. I sent out an email earlier saying I will be starting this torso series, and I'll probably do like 3 weeks of female torsos, and then I'll do 3 weeks of male torsos. I think we'll kind of start light today. I'll go over some references and stuff. Then next week we'll get into like some muscles and stuff like that. And then the following week we'll wrap it up with a good solid piece. And then I'll do the same with the male torso as well. And y'all let me know if y'all can hear me well or can't hear me well. So I got some reference here. This one we used when I did the hand series, and this is my go-to. It will always be my go-to. It's very easy to digest. I love this book. But I have a couple more books here. So I have, I picked this up, shoot. This book is probably well over 20 years old, maybe. I know it's, I've had it for a while, and I think it's just as old as some of my kids. But it's just kind of like one of those How to Draw the Marvel Way. Christopher Hart, he just kind of came out with his own book. And there's some good stuff in here. Don't get me wrong. And I think he's got some shape type of thing happening too, but I'm gonna break it down to how I do it. The one thing is that here, I'm gonna zoom in a little bit. Okay, cool, thanks, Michelle. Just like Marvel, they always break it down in head sizes, right? So if you got two heads should lead you to the chest, 2 heads mid-stomach, and so on and so forth. If there's one head, it's kind of the same thing, right? One head to the chest, to the mid-stomach, abs, so on and so forth. And that's I guess, good way, and it's been working for, I guess, Marvel folks in general, but my brain just doesn't work that way, and I came up with a different solution. And I guess you could use that so you can stay in proportion at some point, but I see reference points before I see head sizes, so that's kind of where I'm going with that. And we'll use some of these poses today for just reference and how I see stuff. Best reference is always real life reference, right? This is the holy grail of art books for artists learning anatomy. It's heavy, it's really thick. I don't know how many pages is in here. 250-ish. So about 240 of pictures. It's just a well put together book. I mean, it goes through the nervous system, veins, structures. It overlays in here, so you have the here, but then you can put this over top of it, and you get the skeleton overlay. I think they have another one for the hands. So you can overlay and see how the bone actually fall within. And I think there's a skull one in here too. Here's a torso one. I mean, it's just a really, really good, got one for the spine. Really good book. I think my kids got me this for a birthday present or a Christmas gift at one point. But it's if you want to draw better and understand the way muscles move and stuff, see how the bones move under stuff, this is just one you should have in your library. So let's get into this torso. Female. And for I guess teaching's sake, we're just gonna stick with the fairly shaped people, because once you start adding weight or making them small people or dwarves or any other thing, then that's another ball of wax that we'll need to talk about maybe in another section of this, or maybe I'll save all the different stuff. Let me write that down. Save different body types for the end. Yeah. But for the first 3 female and the first 3 male torsos, we'll do just superhero shapes, if you will. And so since we got this book open, I'm gonna zoom in a little bit. And so you got your reference. I always use reference, always. If it's not real reference or something that someone else has drew, I have my my little figures that I use, and you could just put them in whatever configuration you want. But I always use reference. Always, always, always. Actually, I'm gonna get this guy. And so this is a Sticky Bones mannequin, if you will. And so how I use him is that, I'll put him in whatever pose, and he's really posable. Like the fingers are adjustable, all that stuff. So, I'll have him like that. and then I'll use my phone and take a picture of it, so I don't have to get like, if it's I'm trying to show y'all an upshot that I need to draw. I'll take the picture down here and shoot it up, and now I'll have the reference and I can just draw from that. But reference, 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 always. So if we're looking at this one here, I'm just absorbing the information that I see. And so we'll do a few different things here. And I'll show you kind of maybe some other people do different ways. You'll see a lot of people start with the head, the chest, and the torso. And they'll put that line of action for the spine. And sometimes I'll do this. So this is we'll just call this number one. I don't know, it's the first one that some certain people use. Two, a lot of people use the box method. And so they'll actually 3D the box as the torso. And then they'll 3D the box for the hips, chest and hips. And so you're kind of, because you're making it 3D, you're kind of showing the mass or the width of this here, because there's just a little bit of, because she's turned a little bit, so you're going to see a little bit here. This will be number two, box method. We'll call these methods. Oval method. And then the other one is, I don't even know what we can call it, but it's another method, right? And so it'll be probably more close to the anatomy of it, right? So some people will actually draw, and this is the rib cage. And then they'll draw a little thing for the neck. And then they'll do the same for the waist part. And they'll leave a little cut for the hips. And again, they'll have that line of action in there too, the spine. We'll call this anatomy method. And again, there's nothing wrong with these methods. I typically bounce maybe within these three, like especially if the pose is a little complicated for me. I'll probably lean just more towards this one so I can just get and see what's going on. And then I start looking at different things. So if I get another sheet of paper. I always start with the line of action, right? So we see her spine has a little S curve in it. And I'm looking like that. I may have exaggerated just a bit. And then if we put the little circle for her chest and for the hips. And then after that, I look at different reference points, right? So we have her breasts right here. Like if I take whatever this line is, and I'm not even using these other lines, I'm just, in my mind, I see the line under her breast, right? That's what I'm looking at right now. And then I'm looking straight down from this breast. Let's say it's here, right? So now I already have 2 reference points that I'm looking at. If I look down that line, I can see her hip comes out just a little bit past that. So now I'm starting to get into proportions, right? And how things start shaping and looking like your reference. And if I come right in the middle of her chest, let me get my red pen. So this is reference point number 1 is under boob. So my other reference outer boob. And then this is center boob. So I'm just showing you all these different lines because that's what my mind sees. And again, I think that helps people to understand where the certain parts of the body should be. Because I get asked a lot, how do you do proportions and how do you make everything fit like it's supposed to? And it's because I'm looking at all these different lines. And I think that's more of what I want to show. Oh boy. All right, y'all, I'm trying to see if this is coming back or what's happening here. I'm gonna look at the monitor for a second, and y'all let me know if there's been a break or something happening, because it looked like it paused for a minute. So how is it? Are we back live? Are we all right, so yeah, I guess I'll keep going then. So I guess what I was getting at before I thought stuff went away is that I get a lot of artists that ask me how to make this proportion, and I think that's mainly what I want to do, is help with the proportions more than actually going in depth or whatever. And although I will do that because I love this stuff and I want to share that with you, but I think the main stuff I want for artists to get out of this is to how to make this, how to draw that, what they see. And it's by using imaginary reference points, right? So we got this one breast that we're using a lot of reference points on for right now. And so again, we use the outside, and we know some of her hip comes to the outside. And I'm drawing light right now, and that's how I feel like you should draw, is a little light. We know right in the center of her chest is where the rib starts doing its thing, right? And then you can even break it down further, right? So where the rib starts to cut back in on her stomach, you could do another line, right? And see what meets up down here. And it's the start of her vagina, I guess. And so if we draw a straight line from where the rib cuts in, the start of her vagina should be somewhere around in this area. And then if we use the other breast as a reference, and when I draw them like teardrops like this is muscle. And artists always forget to draw muscle. They're so focused on the boobs. Women have pectorals just like men do. And I think I'll go over that next week. But so now we have 2 reference points that we're making all this connect together. And so if her rib comes in here and it starts going back out, we can look and see the other rib on the other side is another reference point, right? And then that starts coming back out. Now we look on the other side of this boob and see what falls down here. her butt should hit here. And if I take my pin, bring that down. And so you can see I'm starting to fall in these correct reference points, right? So we have her, and we'll cut it off here. So we're just focused on the torso. And there's always going to be some adjustments, right? So I had my S curve a little more than normal, but if we do a slight S curve, we'll see that her vagina kind of starts here, where we were saying with this reference point. And I can probably cut her waist in some more. And so if we see where this curve starts hitting, we just look here. And yes, I can bring this in just a little more. I can see where the side of her hip, her butt starts to come over. And now I'm just using some of these lines as reference. We'll see where it hits here. And she's not that hippie, so I tend to draw my women more hippie, but if we cut some of that hip off, she's not that hippie. And so we've skinnied her up a little bit. And so you can see what the reference points is what I'm talking about. And I know this looks a little messy and sloppy, but again, what I'm trying to show is these reference points from what I'm picking off of the body help me determine where things will go. We use that reference. So although when I'm drawing just normally, we obviously don't see all these lines, but this is what my mind sees to make this, to bring this over to here. And so we'll do another one here. Let's look at something out of here, if we got something in here. I want to say this is probably just a male book. And I want to focus on women today in the next few weeks. So I'm gonna grab another book. Hold on. All right, I got a couple other books here. What up, Walt? What up, Tricky Rick? So I got a couple other books here. I think I'm gonna just look through these real quick and pick something out of here so we can continue on. Oh, this is a good book here. This earlier I was talking about how artists use the anatomy method, if you will. So they do the ribs. My bad. They draw it almost in a circular oval type shape, but they show the ribs where the ribs kind of hang off or whatever. So that's a cool one. I don't mind doing that one. And it's just good practice to do even these little simple drawings, if you will. All right, so I got some stuff here. And this is almost like I'm drawing a blank. Life drawing classes, sorry. This is more broken down into like step by step, her throwing a ball. But it's also still images, which is like life drawing, right? So I think I'm gonna pick one of these and then show again here how I do what I do. So I'm gonna pick one of these here, right? I always start with a line of action. And then I draw shapes, right? Again, I think for each drawing, it's a little different. So sometimes I may use the circular thing. Like I said in the beginning, I use a combination of all these methods to get where I need to get. But for the most part, I use a lot of shapes. And it just helps me a little better, right? So, and I like looking at what I like to help me. So right now I'm using that as my reference point for everything else, right? On the other one, we use the right boob. I'm using this dot, the small of her back, which is, so I'm drawing this one here. And I've blown it up in my mind. And so now I'm just cutting off everything right in here. And like I said, I'm using the small of her back right here as I'm hanging everything else off of that, right? Just so I know I can't show everything. Well, maybe. And so now I'm looking at, getting a rough estimate, because these are shapes, I'm drawing light, of how far her hips and then her butt make the cut right here. And again, I'm looking at my reference. What comes over straight across from here? Her stomach and her abs go in a little bit, but then they come back out. And make for the woman's pouch, if you will. And if I look here, you know, where her butt starts to cut back in, like right here, what is over here? The top of her vagina, right? So if I put another line here, we should start seeing this other front leg starting to take just a little bit of shape here.
University of Phoenix is awarding up to $1 million in new
From my reference point again, if I come straight down, what is hitting when I come straight down from here? And for the most part, I'm somewhat on. And again, you draw light because you're gonna make some mistakes and you just kind of clean it up just a little bit, right? But the beginning of her thigh is kind of coming around here like that. And then we'll cut it off here. If we look over here, like I said, the top of her vagina is up here, her abdomen, lower abdomen. And we can see her other thigh in the back. And cause now here's this bend, and we already know the top of her vagina, lower abdomen is here. If we come all the way over, that's where her butt starts to come back in. And so I'll just do the same thing. I'll go up, you know, from this reference point. If the straight line is up here, what's there? For the most part, her back just curves out just a little bit. And then we can see her shoulder blade popping out some. But it's just a little bit. It's not a lot. So now you can use that to gauge how much space is right in here. You can tilt it out just a little more or not at all. But the purpose is to use these reference points to make it look like the reference, right? And then she's throwing or whatever. And so because we got all this stuff down here, for the most part correct, now we could just start taking other reference points from down here and doing more straight lines up, right? So if we take the pouch and use that as a reference point and just draw another vertical line straight up, right? What intersects that line is what you should be looking for. We see, I can't really see what that is. I guess that's her breast. Comes out here a little bit. And if I draw one on here, we can see that her breast kind of comes here. Now, when I say kind of comes, it's, again, you're kind of loosely drawing some stuff. If you come up to where you think the nipple or the center of her breast is and draw another line, or we could just look back here, you know, on the back of this side, where does this breast intersect again, right? So I'm gonna zoom in some because I want y'all to get this. since we already have this as reference and we made her back come out of here a little bit, now just look over from, let's say this is broken in half and this whole thing has been split in half, it looks like, or maybe it could be down just a little bit. Just draw a line over there and see, okay, that's where her breast is. Instead of us trying to guess, what's happening here. So if I draw, let's say I got this up here and we want to split this in half or down just a little bit, then we could just take another line. And I'm pretty much, without even having to do these lines. And it's just because I've been drawing so much, what the reference I'm looking at, I can get it to where it needs to be. If you don't do this, take your reference that you have and that you're really solid with here and just draw lines, and I'd do this all the time. Now I don't take red pens and draw lines, but that's what I'm looking at. When I am drawing and using reference, I am looking at all these reference points. Again, that's what I think I want people to get from these series is more or less using reference points to help you become better artists, because it's all about proportions at this point, right? Because you'll see somebody drawn and like the torso will be really small, like the chest part, but then the legs or the abs will be kind of out of place or whatever. The reference lines and reference points are everything. That's what you got to focus on. And so with that said, if we look at this coming across, this going up, and now this is a reference point, right? This little mark, how far is that from the one point to the next point? And you kind of, again, we know it ain't way out here, and we know it ain't very close to this one. So now you just do some light sketching until you get that where you feel like it's right. And then bring it back up. And I don't want to make it sound like as a fact, like you should know this already. It's just most people that follow me and are, support me, they are typically artists and they're pretty decent, I've seen a lot of really good artists and they, some things they struggle with, some stuff, they got down, but I think the reference point would help people a lot. And when I talk, like, as a matter of fact, I'm talking to most artists, people who know how to draw. Again, if we use this reference point and want to connect the nipple to the upper part of her chest, we know that line ain't going way out here. Again, looking at reference, we know this line isn't going anywhere close to this line. It's got a little slant and then it comes up here, right? And then now you can start going in a little hard on certain lines. And this is a very small picture, so I'm struggling to see some of the shadows and stuff, but we can see her hips start to form in a little bit. There's probably some shadow stuff happening right in here. Some shadow stuff happening here. Her ribs start taking shape. Then we got her lats coming right here, which are connected all up and through here. This is probably a little too long, but I can live with that. Let me zoom out some. Like I said, she got her shoulder coming up over here a little bit. And then we're done with that, you know. Again, with both of these, and I'm gonna zoom out some more. I cannot stress enough of using these reference points. Ref. And then all these reference lines, right? To get the proportion that we're trying to get and that we're trying to achieve, drawing stuff. Now, when you start getting really good at having a solid foundation, then we can stretch the torso however long we want to. We can stretch the legs and keep the torso short, however we want to, but we just doing basics and reference point after reference point. Reference lines. Again, this is what my mind sees. At the beginning, we talked about these different ways to just get your shape, your flow of what's happening. After this, again, the one book showed us like the 12 head method. So you can have heads that just keep coming down like that. And yeah, you can still get, you know, okay, we got one head, this should go to his chest, this should go to his middle stomach, this should go where, blah, blah, blah. That's fine, but now we still need to get the rest of these things happening. And this, just because you have the heads and we got the lower part of the chest, that's cool. But now what's over here? You know, we got his deltoid and we got his triceps and his delts and stuff over here. And I'm just making us a dude, but then we got his lats coming out. All this stuff is what people need help with. Forget the 12 heads. The 12 heads could be anything. You know, we could use 3 heads and make dwarfs. We still need the rest of the body to flesh it out. And that's what fleshing out is, right? We start with the skeletons or the ovals. And the fleshing out is the important part to me, to help people and teach them how to show proportion and show some good movement, right? So we got some good movement here. We got some line of action. Her spine, she was throwing a ball, so I think this leg was back or something or whatever. And there's movement. There was a little movement in this one. And then reference points. So, with that said, if y'all got any questions, man, hit me up. Hit me up, email, hit me up now if you want to. Like I was saying, we'll start kind of, we'll ease into it. Next week, we'll probably do more of this stuff, but I'll start labeling some muscles that I feel like that I look at a lot when I'm doing this. Like the lats, I named the deltoids, a lot of the stomach, especially for women. Not only are they built different, like they're built different. So where most men are kind of just straight, no hip, women are very curvy, whether they're very skinny or very healthy. I use a lot of those indications, hips and pouches and stomach muscles and back, all that stuff. I use all that as grids. I see grids, and that's what I do. So yeah, and I think what I'm gonna do is I am going to take each time we do stuff on Tuesday, and I'm gonna jot notes on here, and then I'll write out some notes and post it on Patreon, just so you can download it and then look at it and then ask questions. I want to know if this is helping people. I want to know if it's working, because if it works for me, it may be harder for other people to grasp. It may not work for others. I want to make it to where people can use it in bite-sized pieces, and that as you start getting more advanced in drawing, that you're using these tools and if it's helping or not. So yeah, send me the questions, send me anything. Let me know what you think. What I don't want to do is just be here rambling and not helping anyone. So yeah, I think that's time though. About 20 minutes to 10. But I think as the next couple of weeks come up, we'll probably go a little longer, just because it's going to be a little more, just a little more information, not too much. Again, I think the main thing I want for this whole series is to be reference points. You'll hear me say that all the time. I use them all the time, so I can't help but teach what I do, and hopefully it'll help somebody else. So yeah, y'all let me know. I hope y'all have a good rest of the week, and I will see y'all next week, Tuesday. Peace out, y'all.